Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about the debacle of the Hasbro Wizards of the Coast. Everything right now because it's absolutely ridiculous at this point. There's been a cease and desist sent against somebody now because of proxies. So there's a lot to cover. All of this starts kinda with the bubbling up of the 30th anniversary proxies that Wizards of the Coast is putting out there. $1,000 for 60 randomized cards. It's 4 booster packs. Each booster pack also contains 3 basic lands. So good luck at getting what you want out of it. They're reprinting stuff from the reserve list. There's stuff for Black Lotus. The Wall Street made some big ass article devaluating the Hasbro stock ultimately. So now Wizards of the Coast is going to sit there and scramble at certain things, and they have actually sent a cease and desist against someone that was making proxies for the game. So let's get into this a little bit. First off, this starts with Kyle Burton. 2 weeks ago, I received a cease and desist for Card Contour. Today, I'm taking it down. I wish there was another way. I tried everything I could. The fact is, Wizards wants it down, so I must comply, and then he has a whole thread. We're not going to go into the thread. I'm going to go here with the I'm sorry on his website. On November 3rd, 2022, he received a cease and desist for Card Contour. Why did he receive this? Well, ultimately, their attorney listed some examples. Verbatim copying of card text and card art. I can remove the imports. Well, he took like Skyfall and directly tied them together, putting it on there. Messing with their legal notice by placing Card Contour under their copyright. So I believe they would put Card Contour where the artist name would be, underneath where it says Wizards of the Coast copyright. Because of that, it makes it very difficult for them not to take you down. This recently happened a couple years ago with a model that had an OnlyFans. She had one of her pictures show up on a card that was done by a fan, and the Wizards of the Coast copyright once again was labeled there. And because it was put on there, they sent her a letter saying take it down. She was also part of the streaming circle where she streamed Arena and streamed playing Magic, and because of that, she was removed from the program. So this isn't anything new. Wizards of the Coast has a history of taking people down for things like this. Card Contour reproduces, displays, and allowing copying of distribution of many Magic the Gathering trademarks and logos, which is 100% correct. He's printing cards. He's doing this as proxies with the Magic the Gathering backing, with the Wizards of the Coast IP, making them look like they're official cards from Wizards of the Coast. And so, thusly, they take it down. A lot of people are up in arms saying, oh, Wizards of the Coast is going after a proxy maker because now everyone's making proxies. No, that's not the case. This guy, also, from my understanding, you had to sign up for his Patreon, so it paywalled you being able to do this. Because of it being behind a paywall is why they're taking it down. That is the main reason why it would be, because now you're doing this, you're selling this as a product. You can't take Wizards of the Coast logos, mana symbols, put them on a t-shirt without written permission from Wizards of the Coast to sell it. You see this on the Facebook Marketplace where these blankets are showing up of the trademark stuff from Wizards of the Coast. I don't know if they ever sent them a cease and desist, but they probably did because I don't think it was legally done. You see this a lot in people's videos too, where they take the mana symbols and they're doing a deck tech, right? There's a little bit of gray area there, and generally you're not supposed to be able to sit there and use these particular logos in that. It makes it very, very tough. But because in a lot of cases, it brings more value to the trademark, you'll be able to skirt that line a little bit more. But generally, they don't want you using these any fan-made content. Below are a list of Wizards most frequently you asked about trademarks and logos that you may not include in your fan content. So they don't want you using the Arena poster or the Arena logo in your fan content. If you're doing an Arena live stream, it's really hard to prevent that because it's something that goes along with it. If you take a screen grab from your live stream, you're going to have all of these logos in there. And because of that, they kind of don't take it down. It's also, I believe there is a part of it here where they say you can do that. But the first one here is fan content must be free. If it's not free and you're doing it for yourself, that's where things get taken down. And he had all these supporters, right? We're not going to go through with all the supporters. In all honesty, he should probably take their names off so they don't get a repercussion from this. Thank you very much for everyone that supported me along the way, especially my Patreon members who enabled me to provide Card Conjurer for so long. I'll be canceling all memberships and refunding the last month. Sorry to let you all down. So my understanding was you signed into this website, you paid I don't know if it was paid through Patreon, I'm not entirely sure, but it was redistribution of the trademarks and logos, and the major one would have been the fact that all of them would have said the name of Wizards of the Coast, copyright, and logo. So if you scroll down here, you can see one of these. This was done right here where it says Wizards of the Coast. I will bring this up on screen where it says Wizards of the Coast at the bottom with the current trademark logo and then Card Conjurer at the bottom. That would have been the biggest red flag for Wizards and why they would be taking this down. I believe there is a way that he can sit there and still completely do this, but you're going to have to turn around and get rid of the mana symbols. You're going to have to come up with your own mana symbols. You're going to have to come up with a different logo and a completely different backing in order to do this properly. Now, there's a lot of things here with the Wizards of the Coast logo and the patent and everything with the card game and why we're going forward. And we're probably going to see Lorcanta, which is the Disney-made card game, overtake a little bit here and act very much the same way. So this is the biggest part. Tell the community it's unofficial. So by them putting the logo on there, there can be confusion. There can be things saying, listen, you just can't do it. You can't do it. It's got to be unofficial, and that's why they sent them a cease and desist, because you couldn't distinguish them. You couldn't say it wasn't unofficial. You're not writing across the cards that they're proxies. You're not saying that these are done. And he was making a profit off these, from my understanding, and that's part of it. Like, I've talked about proxying in the past. We've seen these things come up in the past. Hell, Wizards of the Coast went after the Hex by Cryptozonic, or I can't remember their entire name, which was a version of Magic the Gathering that was being put online. It was a different version of it. They called it the Hex, but they used cards that were very similar in name and similar in what they did. And because of that, they were able to go after them for trademark logos and copyright reasons. Now, the patent on Magic the Gathering has expired. So if someone wants to make a game of Magic the Gathering, I believe you can at this point. And that's why going forward, we're seeing Disney's Lorcana, which is going to be very similar in the way it runs. It's just the cards aren't meant to run with both sets, right? So ultimately, if you were to make something today for a Magic the Gathering style card game that was your own personal booster pack, I believe you can, but you cannot use Magic the Gathering backing. You cannot use Magic the Gathering symbols, trademark, logos, anything in it. It has to be completely separate. The borders have to be different. Everything has to be different in order to go forward and do something like that. So with this, the guy pretty much asked to get a cease and desist at this point, and I am not shocked that it gets taken down. The community is up in arms over it, saying Wizards of the Coast is going after a proxy maker, when that's not the case. The case was it was indistinguishable from Wizards of the Coast copyright and trademarks and logos, so they have no choice but to act in this case and say, take it down. Right? I believe if he really wanted to, he could work himself and get back to it. But as you can see with his website, he's taken it down instead of going the route to work alongside Wizards and to make something that is possible to make. I believe down the line, if he was to sit there and make it as a templating custom card stock where you don't use any of the logos, you would be able to do this. But otherwise, it's right now in violation of the fan content policy, in violation of the copyright, trademark, and logos that Wizards of the Coast has set out for others. There also seems to be a lot of speculation as to why they were taken down, and more people are coming forward saying, listen, you got taken down because of certain things. One of them happens to be because a leaked card ended up on the site. Someone took the leaked card, put it on the site, and then try to print it off as a proxy so they can already have the card. So really sorry to see the site down. The timing doesn't shock me at all. We just had a card leak with altered stats circulating for Brothers War preview season, and it was made with Card Contour. So that was one of the things that drew their attention. On top of the leaked card that came up there, but pure speculation, if I had to take an educated guess, it's because the MPC subreddit, so that's the Magic Proxy card subreddit, has been misusing this Card Contour in an illegal manner, and Card Contour took a hit for it. They have a guide pinned on how to misuse the Card Contour for blatant copyright and IP violations. So what do Wizards of the Coast do? They've got to take it down. They cut it off at the feet, and that's pretty much what happened. Well, ultimately, you know, when it comes down to 30th edition Magic the Gathering, it's going to be a travesty. If this thing sells out, it's going to completely change the face of Magic the Gathering. There's new stuff coming out, like the Festival in the Box. Apparently, people are only getting a single mystery booster pack from it instead of an entire box for the $270 US price point that was there as well. This is a bad time and a bad view of Magic the Gathering totally. The mainstream, they're trying to make it go mainstream completely, and I think it's falling. It's going to blow up in Wizards of the Coast face. Now, if we support the Magic 30 stuff, the sky's the limit. Hasbro's going to continue to do it. But at the same time, does Magic the Gathering, does Wizards of the Coast really have a choice here? I think part of it is they fear the future. Part of it is Lorcana is going to be nipping at their heels very soon because that card game looks like it's going to play very similar to Magic the Gathering. And the patent, like I said, has expired on the game mechanics. So that means you can do a lot more things on the market. That actually expired back in 2014, and why someone thought that they could make a game very similar to it. The problem with that was they used all the names and all the similar things that the cards can do instead of making up their own. Where Lorcana with Disney is going to be a completely different feeling game. It may work the same, very similar ways, but it's going to be a very different game. Now, with proxying, there's always been contention with proxying. It's always one of those things that's very tough to continue to do and continue to support. Proxying used to be a thing back in the day when cards got very expensive. People would proxy them. But before the time of the reserve list, people would make fake cards. And at that time, because you're not supporting the cards, it wasn't supporting the artist. That's part of the reason why the reserve list exists now, is because now they support the artist in a different way. They get a lump sum instead of getting paid per card printed. So that is the big difference between the two, and why the reserve list originally came forward, was to stop them printing cards and paying the royalties of the cards, and why there is so much contention with the 30th edition version of it. The Wall Street sees it as a complete violation of the reserve list. That was in one of the articles that came out. So going forward, it'll be interesting to see where this all lies. Anyway, if you're making proxies, if you're doing these things, do them your own. Don't use mana symbols. Don't use the card backing. Use your own thing. If you're sleeving them up, just print the front of the card. Don't put the backing, and leave it in there. Make sure it is unofficial. Make sure no one can distinguish it as a real card. And that has been part of the issue with Card Contour, was you couldn't distinguish them from real or fake by putting on the Wizards of the Coast logo on them unless you read that artist line. And that is the biggest reason to date, in my eyes, why they got the cease and desist. Anyway, guys, hopefully I informed you on this one. Have yourselves a great day. I'm your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cinder Shadow, signing off here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hey, I have memberships for $1 set up now, so if you guys want to hop on the membership train, do that down below. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.